and sisters. Hi, my name is Christina Krause, and this is Suki Kangas. We're here with Children Are Important, and we're running a series this month on raising funds for your children's ministry. So the idea is that you can do activities to raise funds so that your ministry has more or photocopies or crayons or decorations or activities you can do with the children, or activities for your teachers, gifts for your teachers. There's a million ways for us to spend money, but it's very hard to have a budget for children's ministry. So I was talking with a friend of mine who's in Burundi, and Brother Timothy was just basically sharing, wow, wait, raising funds here, it's hard, but actually we could do a meal where we sold something like tamales after church. It's just not something that we normally do. So I just want to encourage you that it doesn't matter if you normally do this, you can do this. Pick something that you think maybe your church is willing to accept or willing to try, and it can be activities that are available in your country. So this can work regardless of what country you live in, and then you can do something a little special with your children. So if you say normally we can't afford photocopies, we can't do student books, well, try one of these activities where you raise some money and then buy the photocopies with it. Show your pastor what you did, that you did this activity to raise the money, you bought these photocopies, and you'll see each year it can grow and you can actually have a budget for your children's ministry. So today I have Suki Kangas with us. Actually, she's got some experience raising funds as she has done some traveling. This past year you went to India, correct? Yeah, I did. So she did some activities to raise funds so she could go to India, and although she did her activities in the United States, these activities can also work regardless of where you live. So I asked her if she'd share these two ideas with us.
Sure.
So you can choose some activities. We're doing these videos all month, and you choose two, and we also have a certificate in October for those of you who do two activities to raise some money for your children's ministry. All right, so dive in. What do we have today?
So the first thing I want to talk about is stories. Now this is, we have this book, it's a free download for you guys. It's How to Raise Funds and Promote Your Ministry. It's written by Veronica Toch. And right here in the back section where there's a whole ton of ideas, on page 26 there's a couple ideas right here. Your testimony and your goal. And have these ready to tell people, and this is going to increase the amount of donations, and it's going to increase people's awareness of what you're doing. So I'm going to talk about how to tell stories, because this is really important. The reason why it's important is because people don't really relate easily to facts or statistics.
But I'm always doing statistics.
I know.
Constantly. Okay.
You have to say statistics because it helps them get an idea. But if you really want to connect with someone, you can't use statistics. You got to use. So let me give you an example of. So we do teacher training conferences, and every year, I think in like February last year. Was it last? Yeah, it was last year. It was February. And we had a teacher training event, and there were like 300 people there. And Chrissy asked for testimonies happening with the kids. So she asked the teachers to come up with and share some testimonies. And this one guy came up and shared this testimony.
I'm already lost.
Yeah, no, don't do that. So what you're going to do?
That's a great bad example.
Thank you very much. So what we're going to do is we're going to prep our stories ahead of time. So, and here's a few tips for telling a good story. First of all, it can really only be 2 or 3 minutes long. Now this will depend on your culture, but in our culture, people really only pay attention for 2 minutes, sadly, but they do. You start with action. You start right away with the start of the story where somebody's doing something. You don't do, what I just did was a huge introduction to the story. I haven't even told the story yet. Include interesting details. Make the details interesting, not just a generic fact. Instead of saying, we went to this place, say, you piled into a car, like 18 people into a car, and then you drove down the bumpy road. A lot more interesting. Especially...
I have piled 18 people in a car before.
Oh yeah. Especially, you want to say how you felt.
Small Honda.
You want to share how you felt. And it's really easy to say, God did this amazing thing and we were all amazed at it. But that doesn't really connect. What you want to say is, then this person came and she said, when you did this, God spoke to me like this, and I had tears in my eyes when I heard this. See, that connects a lot better. So you want to relive the moment, not just explain what happened.
Like explaining how you felt, the tears part. I felt like crying. Nice.
Yeah. You want to end with your point. When your story ends, stop. It's really easy when at the end of your story to keep explaining it. The person already understood it. The story has a point. They already got the point. Just stop. You can say like one sentence of how this connects to your ministry. And the last thing is practice the story over and over and over. Practice it and be like, okay, let's see, ready, go. Tell your story in the mirror. You tell your story. Then when you're done, you look at the clock. This is 4 minutes. Okay, let's cut out some details that aren't important. And you do that over and over until you get it down to 2 or 3 minutes. Then you tell your story to a friend and ask them for feedback. And that'll give you practice telling it to a person instead of a mirror. And then you're ready. Okay? So here's an example of a much better story than the other one. A little girl was in public school, and she got into an argument with a friend. And she got so mad she was going to hit her friend. And she stopped. And she went to her school teacher, and she said, "Teacher, can I run around the school?" And the teacher said, "Why do you want to do that?" And the little girl said, "Because I'm so mad, I'm going to hit my friend. And in Sunday school class, we learned that when we're tempted to do something wrong, we need to flee, we need to run. So I have to run around the school." The teacher said, "Oh, well, I can't let you run around the school, but there's a tree right out there. I can let you, why don't you go run around that tree and come back?" So she ran around the tree, and she did not hit her friend.
Yay! She didn't hit her friend.
And here's my one sentence to go with it. We learned this story from a Sunday school teacher who was using our curriculum. So this is the impact that we see from our curriculum. That's it. There you go.
Nice.
Story. So the types of story that you will want to use when you're raising funds, you want to explain what your organization is doing. So you want a story that tells the need of why you're doing this ministry. And the need story is going to end with, there's no happy ending on that one, because it's something that's needed in this world. The other one you want to tell is just like the one I told, a success story. And another type of story you can use that's optional is a personal story. This story shares my weakness, how I felt weak in an area, but God did something amazing even despite my weakness. Something that God did. The other thing you can do is you can use the same process for explaining your organization what you do, and you can include statistics.
So for your organization, you're going to be sharing your children's ministry.
Yeah.
So this is the ministry that you have, reaching children in your church.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're going to have, a success story, a need story,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a personal story, you as a teacher or you as a children's ministry pastor or leader.
Mm-hmm. And you can use the same thing. You can take your organization, what you do, and you practice that and get it concise and very clear and ready to present to anybody who asks you. So for example, children are important. We write curriculum for Sunday school and VBS, and we provide training materials online for teachers all over the world. My role is to do graphic design, which is like gift wrapping God's Word, making it exciting for the children and the teachers to open. And we do all this because that way children all over the world can hear about Jesus. So what you do is you tell what your organization does and what your role is, and then you say, why do we do this? And the main vision of this is to tell children about Jesus Christ. Now, your organization could be your church, and that's kind of weird to be like, my church is, well, it's a church. But what you can do is you can say, okay, this project is so that we can do this, so that children hear about Jesus.
Nice. So even if you're looking for coloring crayons, you're going to want to say, we are doing this class.
I'm a Sunday school teacher.
I'm a teacher.
And I come and I teach these children every week. And what we want to do is have some more crayons and supplies, and so that we can teach more kids about Jesus.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so when they come to church, they have fun.
Yeah.
And while they're learning about Jesus.
But what you're going to do is you're going to decide what do you want to say, you're going to write it down, practice it, and then you have it ready. For any time, you could run into someone while you're shopping for food, and they can ask you, what are you doing? And you can say it right there. Boom, I have a story I can say, or I can explain the ministry that I'm doing. Or if you are in a different situation and you're standing in front of your whole church, and they say, okay, now you have 10 minutes to present. You have 2 or 3 stories ready, and you have your main, what your ministry does ready. And then you can say, I want you all to partner with me in this ministry, in this thing. And you ask them specifically what you want them to do. Okay?
Nice. All right. So we are running out of time because this is a very difficult topic here. But Suki also has an idea to share with us that we can use for having an event in your church to help raise funds or raise money for your children's ministry. So what event are you going to share with us?
Well, I'm going to explain how I did the live auction that I did to prepare to go to India.
All right. So we have a live auction you can do.
So the first thing I want to do is decide, do you want to do an auction or do you want to do some other event? A lot of these things will apply to other events too, but I'm going to explain the auction.
So basically the auction you had was she would ask people for a donation. So people donate products or services, and then you sell those in auction style. So the auction is basically people try to outbid each other. So you say, well, I'll give $5 for that. And somebody else says, oh, I'll give $5.50, and they go higher, and so they win. So the competition at church caused her to have more money than normal.
Yep.
And also you get all the products and services donated. So then all the money of all the sales goes toward, and that's how she earned the money for buying a plane ticket.
And everyone leaves happy because they had something from it.
Yeah, they feel good because they helped participate in their thing, but they also leave with something they bought.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is plan your date. Make sure there's nothing else going on that same weekend at your church or whatever.
Correct.
You decide where you want to host your event, like at your church or as someone who has a larger house to use their house for a day. And you get permission, or you can use your church, get permission from your pastor. You want to recruit volunteers. The nice thing about this is you can recruit a volunteer to help you with your event. You can also ask them to donate an item for the auction, and then they can bid on something. So they're doing 3 things.
Nice.
So for your volunteers, you want to recruit someone for food. Like we had, of course, any event you're gonna need food. So we just had a small snack and some drinks. But I asked somebody to help organize that, so they came prepared with the cups and the plates and the juice and the snack and all that stuff. They're running that, so you don't have to worry about that. Another thing you can ask for help for is organizing the event, like administration. I'm not very strong with organizing things. I can do it, but I'm not very strong at it. So I asked someone who's really strong at it to help me, and she was happy to do that. Ask for someone to help to organize all the money. So you want somebody who is trustworthy and who can do math and who can take very careful notes, very accurate notes of what all the donations and things. And you can also ask somebody to do graphic design for you and marketing if you know someone who does that, and then they can help you make graphics and stuff.
Nice.
Any of these that you know how to do, you can fill in, or you can invite someone, and then they get to participate, and that actually makes them more excited about what you're doing.
Yeah.
So
get more people involved in your activity. Yes.
And now at your church, I made a Facebook page, and then after I announced it, I sat down with someone to help me, And we thought of people who had something that they could contribute, donate for the auction. So that could be some kind of household item, someone who knows how to cook something really well, and everyone knows, oh, this person makes amazing
for
cookies.
example, we have an uncle, because we're sisters, actually not just only in Christ, but also with the same parents. And so one of our uncles does really good cooking of ribs. And so everybody loves the way he does it. And so instead of going to the uncle and saying, okay, could you help with something? And him saying, I don't know, what can I do?
Right.
Instead, they went to him and said, okay, everybody loves your ribs. Could you donate a class where you taught people how to make those ribs? And he was like, sure, I can do that. And then when he came for the event, everybody wanted that. I mean, that was something I wanted.
Well, he also brought ribs. So he brought ribs and another separate item in the auction. I think he brought two
Wow.
dishes. And then a separate item in the auction was a class, a one-day class where someone gets together with him in his house
and learns how to do it. That just sounds neat.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what country you're in. You can pick one of the favorite meals that everybody loves, find somebody who cooks it well, and ask them, will you do a class to teach someone else how to cook it? And then they have to buy that class.
Yeah. Someone else donated a food item and the recipe for it. And those were separate items too.
Nice.
Yeah. Classes, one-day outings with someone where they do something that they already do, that they already enjoy, so they're doing it anyway. Now they get to donate it as an item in your auction, and somebody else gets to have fun doing it with them.
So say, for example, you live by the beach, and someone has it for a job, they go fishing all the time. You could actually say, would you do a fishing, take someone out fishing? Well, you might have someone else whose family doesn't fish and has always wanted to.
Yeah.
So you could just like, okay, I'm going to take you out fishing. And that's a great idea.
Fishing was one of the items.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we invited someone who doesn't even go to the church, but everyone knows that he does fishing.
Oh,
so
okay.
I asked him to donate a fishing outing.
Okay.
And
very nice.
He's not in the church. He didn't even come to the auction, but he donated something, and I got something for it, and somebody else got to go.
Somebody paid for that.
Yeah. It was really good.
Fabulous.
And you ask them specifically for the thing that you want them to give. You keep promoting your auction, the upcoming event, on Facebook. What we did was we said, okay, which of these things does everybody want is going to make them go, ooh, I want to go to the auction. And we posted that on Facebook periodically. Every day I posted one. Alright, when it comes to the auction itself, you want to get prepared for it. The top thing you want to do is pray and ask God, invite God to be there in your auction, and like give everyone a soft heart so that they're all kind to each other. I've heard of auctions that didn't go so well and everyone came away going,
Well, because it's very easy to get mean.
Very easy to get mean. So you pray for it, pray for the people who are there, that they're all going to be nice. You decorate, get tables and chairs. You prepare your presentation ahead of time. You can use the stories that I just told you about. Get some background music to also set the atmosphere and make it a pleasant place. You make out some bid sheets. So what I did was I just had a piece of paper for each item that was available. And it had a title of the item and a description for it, which was especially necessary for things like a fishing outing. You have to write it down because there's nothing there, nothing physical there. You write it down, you write down the value of it. I just researched online to find out what the value of this thing was. Put the value, you can put a minimum bid, and you can put a minimum bid increase on this.
Oh, okay.
And then you have a place for just lines after that, and for a name of the person, how much they bid, and some contact information.
Very good. So basically then each person in church is going to wander around and write their name down and how much they're willing to pay for that. And then if someone else comes by and writes their name and puts a higher amount they're willing to pay, then they beat them. And so the competition goes, the person who has the highest number then wins that item. And when they win at the end, they have to pay for it.
Yes.
And then they get the the item. Some had like homemade earrings or
Yeah.
things like what the nice thing about this is there'll be families in your church that want to help, but they can't give you money. But they could give you one of the things that they do. Like, we already are doing this thing, so I can give you one of the things I make at my home, and then someone else buys that.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's great.
So during the event, there's a few important things. When people arrive, and while you're in the event, you as a representative or someone else that you have asked to represent your ministry, probably just you make eye contact with people, connect with each person, say hi, I'm so glad you're here, make sure they feel welcome, make sure they feel appreciated just for being here. Find out what's going on in their lives. During the event, you want to announce what the time limit is when the auction will be over, so everyone has that clear. And during the event, you can continue to announce, hey, toward the end of the event, you can say, hey, there's only 10 minutes left for your bidding. Now there's only 5 minutes. Oh, there's only 2 minutes left. Hurry, make sure you get the higher bid. Clarify any items that leave doubts, like when is this actually, you already have written a description, but maybe there's a few more details you can share, get people more excited about what it is. And then we just had the food ready from the start of the event to the end of the event. People could just get up and go get some and sit back down. We had the chairs and tables for people to sit on one side, and on the other side we had the items for auctioning. Periodically I went up there and I told explained a little bit more about the ministry, just a little bit here and there. And then at the end, what you want to do is you want to close the bidding, announce this is the end of the bidding. You pass all the bids, the bid sheets, to the people in charge of counting the money and organizing all that. Meanwhile, you get to present to everyone. You have this time because you need to take up some time so that they have time to calculate everything. So you make a bigger presentation. You tell your stories, tell the ministry, explain to them why they're here, and appreciate why they're there, what they're there for. And then,
did you have any rules like they had to have cash to pay for that? If they won, they had to be able to pay for it right there? Or did you have a way that they could pay later? Or?
Everyone paid right there.
Okay.
Everyone came knowing in advance, okay, I'm coming here for an auction, I'm going to get something out of it, I want to bid on stuff, I'm going to bring the money.
So they brought ahead the money so they could buy stuff.
In fact, because of all our announcements and things, they knew what it was for, because I shared on Facebook also what the ministry is, what this auction is for. So they came saying, I want to give this amount, and they bid on things to equal that amount.
Nice.
Well, we also had a donation basket in case they said, I missed the bid, but I still want to donate, so I can put something in there.
Very cool.
So immediately after the bidding is over and you have all your details, you connect the people with who won a bid for a service, and you connect them with the person who's donating the service. Like, give each other contact information.
So they can set it up. So that fishing lesson, for example, they don't get to take home something.
Right.
But they have to connect with the person who's won the bid and the person who's giving the fishing lesson, so that they can set up, okay, when are we going to give you the fishing lesson?
Right. And then make sure you connect with everyone again as they leave and say goodbye and say thank you for coming. Then afterward, what I did was I wrote thank you cards to everyone who donated.
How did you get the card to the person?
I mailed it.
You had their address?
Yes, I had their address.
So that's if you have their address.
Wait,
or
a couple people, I did not have their address, so I showed up to church.
At church, you can hand it to them. Yeah.
But I wrote out thank yous to everyone who donated an item and everyone who participated in the auction.
Bought an item.
And bought an item.
Okay. Yes. Wow, that's fabulous. It's a lot of work, but then you were able to raise the funds you needed.
Yeah. And one last thing, with your the financial side, make sure you have accurate records. Like I said, put someone trustworthy and very accurate in charge of the money. And then make sure you keep those records so that you can say later, thank you for donating this amount. For me, legally, as a ministry recognized by the United States, I have to tell everyone how much they donated during the year. And so I looked online, and the rules in the United States for auction for a nonprofit are up to the value of the item that they bid on. They don't get any tax deductible donation credit at all. But any that they went above the value of the item, they get credit for that as a tax deductible donation. So I had to keep track of all this. What's the value of each item? How much did the winner bid? And how much did they get as tax deductible? So I can make a note of that.
That's complicated, but that's going to be for each country, right?
Yes.
So
for your country, you're gonna know.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to look it up, find out what the rules are, what's needed.
That's
for
if they
this.
want tax status, but there's going to be a lot of countries where that's not necessary.
Right. In some countries, that's necessary legally. If you don't, you get in trouble. And in some countries, there's not really a system for that.
No. Okay. Well, thank you, Suki. Don't forget, this whole month we're doing these activities for raising funds for your children's ministry. Even if you've never tried this, try something, pick something and try it. And we're asking if you do 2 activities, something simple and something with an event like this auction, we are giving certificates in the beginning of October for everyone who tries it, does some activities and gets some funds. Let us know what you can buy or what you're going to get for your children's ministry. And that'll be fun. You can be part of the graduation in October. All right. Thank you for being with us today, and we will see you next time. Bye.